Hello and welcome to my video from Prora. I was there in March 2024. Now Prora is up in northern Germany, up on the Baltic coast. It's about a 4.5 hour train ride from Berlin, so it's as north as you can go pretty much in Germany. Now Prora is a holiday complex. It's a Nazi holiday complex built by the Nazis, built by Robert March in 1936. He was the architect that won the contract for it and won an award for it. And Prora is, as I say, a holiday complex which was deemed or built to accommodate 20,000 Germans in 1936, which should have been finished in 39, but obviously it wasn't because of the advent of World War II. No one actually stayed in there. No German civilian actually stayed in that holiday complex at all. But the plan would have been that they would save every week from their wages so many Reichsmarks each week, build a book of stamps. Once they'd filled the book of stamps, or so many, they could trade that in then for a holiday, and that would either be on a cruise, or there was a couple of cruise ships, the Robert Ley and the Gustav, or to this complex with 20,000 other people every fortnight. But as we said, no one ever stayed there due to the war. 4.5 kilometers long, so it's about 4 miles long. I ended up walking sort of 10 miles the first day I got there. Walked down the north side and came back up the south side. It's the longest complex of buildings in Europe. There are some. I stayed in a 5-star hotel which has been renovated, so it was original Prora accommodation renovated to a 5-star hotel, but as you're about to see, there are still some in ruins. Now this is the south side of the complex. The Germans did bomb. They built it and they bombed it pretty much soon after building it because the Russians were invading and they didn't want to hand it over to the Russians. It was a training centre for German police and some of the German army. And then during the war, as the war started, it turned into a hospital for obvious reasons. But once the Russians started coming through and liberating parts of Germany and up to the Baltic coast, the Germans bombed what they'd just built, so the Russians couldn't get hold of it. But as we'll see shortly, that a lot of it wasn't bombed and a lot of it's been rejuvenated by private companies and built into private hotels, which is lovely to see. It's lovely to see that an old building from 80 odd years ago is being used for people's enjoyment. Dangerous place here though, the ruins, lots of holes in the concrete, very very deep concrete, subsidence. The place you just walk by and bits fall on you, so it's a dangerous place to be. I did see some other guy adventuring around, German. I tried speaking to him, but yeah, his English wasn't that good and my German wasn't that good. But we were both up to the same thing, obviously, both adventuring and both interested in World War II and the ruins of Prora. Dangerous place, as you can see. It won't be long before all that's fallen down, and it is all fenced off. I did manage to find a hole under the fence. Go. So scrambled in and out of that little hole, walking back to the complex now. So it's starting, actually, you probably won't see it here, but it's starting to get a bit dark, and I've been on my feet for a good few hours, and 10 miles later I thought it was time I'll get something to eat, so I headed back to my hotel. But on the way, obviously, the rest of the complex to navigate, to explore. So they're redoing them. Private companies are buying them over, redoing them, and eventually I'm sure the place will be beautiful. There's an old discotheque back from the 70s and 80s that they'd commandeered and put into a disco, no longer used, and all these would have been old accommodation, restaurant buildings, like parade grounds, or not parade grounds, but meeting grounds for the 20,000 people which are there. And you think that's an awful lot of people, but the complex is very long, so room for everybody. Here's a museum, not in English. I managed to decode most of it on my phone. Very interesting. There's a model there as to how Prora would have looked, which you'll see shortly. There's photos there of Prora now and what was envisaged by March, the architect, and Robert Ley, the Minister for Development and Entertainment. and obviously they only had one Nazi union party, so they had to do as they were told, and there wasn't that much choice for holidays and time off, etc. So would have been a very popular place, but sad to see it was never used, obviously. Tours in German. I didn't know. I attached myself to the end of the tour, but didn't really understand too much. But would have been good if I could have. And this is the arch out under. So this is like the centre of Prura, the very middle bit, which takes you out to the Baltic coast, out to the sand, out to the sea, and that would be the main meeting point for everybody. And the swimming pools would have been just there on the left as well. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.